greetings everyone, and welcome back to another great episode of Office Pro TV. I'm your host, Daniel Lowry, and in today's episode, well, we're continuing on our series with Microsoft Excel 2016, and that's the essentials level, if you're paying attention, keeping score on your cards there. And joining us back in the studio to help us out in that endeavor, our good friend, Miss Vaughn Smith. Vaughn, welcome back. How's it going today?
It's wonderful.
Oh,
so good to be back. I love talking about Excel, and I love talking about the basics of Excel, which we're still in right now. We're in our introduction section of our Essentials series.
Essentials.
Yes, that's Essentials series. That's kind of hard to say.
Yeah. Like a tongue twister.
A little bit.
Yeah. Essential Series Seashells by the Essential Series Shore.
Wow, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Not bad,
Thanks.
not bad. And we're going to be talking about selecting cells.
Sounds like an 80s pop band.
Oh, we were just doing this before we started. We were singing all sorts of songs, and we had the dance moves and everything going. So
I don't know what you're talking about. She's full of lies, ladies and gentlemen. Don't listen to her.
we like to have fun. So we're going to talk about how to select the contents in our Excel worksheets and workbooks. And so I've got a file, so why don't we just go ahead and get started, of Navigate a Workbook. We talked about this when we did our Navigate a Workbook episode, and so I've just continued on and made a few different things. And just to let you know, this file might be slightly different than the one that was in that particular episode because I added a few more things.
A little more flair?
Yes, I did. Yeah. So if you're using this exact file for that episode, and you're like, well, this is in here, but not in your recording. I kind of kept on expanding. You know, it's a work in progress. So, all right. So we're going to go over how to select. Like I've said, there's a couple different techniques. I'm going to show you, like with the mouse and of course with the keyboard, and all sorts of little tips and tricks along the way. We did talk about knowing what an active cell is. Like right now, my active cell is E12. Because I know I have the box around there, and I have my column and row references highlighted, and it also tells me that that is in the name box. So we had gone over that. Well, now we need to start selecting because I need to do things with my content. Say, make it a different font, different color, perform calculations, which is in a total different series, but you need to know how to select before you can affect. Our wonderful rules of computers, we have select to affect, hover to discover when we want our tooltips, and then when in doubt, try it out.
Yeah.
Yes, because that's where it rhymes of right-clicking. So we go through all the different ways of those are three basic rules of computers. So if I want to select a cell, you can just click. If I want a single cell, I just click on that, and that is selecting it. But if I need a range of cells, like for example, I would like to select cells A8 through C14. Now, just hearing me say that terminology, that means A8, make sure I got my white plus sign because I need to make sure that mouse cursor icon is on that big white plus because that's what I need for selecting cells. Nothing else, because that does other things. So I take my white plus sign, and I click, hold, and drag to drag down to, I think I said C14. There we go. Keeping that mouse button held down until you get what you want, you let go of the mouse, and there you go. I have made a selection of cells from A8 through C14. Wonderful. And maybe you're not like saying that in your head. You're just like, I want this. So you click, hold, and drag. And that's pretty common. I mean, we do that in Word and any other program or selecting multiple files. But again, we start from the basic. We never hypothesize on what you know and don't know. So we start from the very beginning. Now, deselecting. You're going to hear me say click off. You're just going to go ahead and click off over there, you know, to stop having this selected. You just find an empty cell or even a cell that has content. You just single click, and then it goes ahead and deselects that selection of, I almost said text, of cells that you have. I started talking about Word.
I feel like we should be saying click away, not click off. That kind of sounds horrible.
Yeah, I kind of also do it as a little play, just for fun.
I see what you did, Vaughn.
Yeah, throw a little humor in there. I know. So we've got our first selection on how to do that. Now, selecting a range of cells by click, hold, and drag is one way, but you can also use the Shift key. All right, and again, this is the same. We talked about this in Word. So if you've seen this in Word, be like, hey, we've done this before. That's right. This is really across anything. I mean, this could be in PowerPoint with selecting slides. This could be in selecting files within your computer. So it's more of not just an Office-specific Excel functionality. It really is all across just basic computers, even on a Mac too. So Shift is a range selection. So I actually have another sheet that I want to move over to. I have sheet 6. So I'm going to click on that worksheet because we learned about how to navigate through our different worksheets in our other episodes. And I realize it's not 6, it's 5. So I come over here to 5, and I've got a little part right here where I've actually labeled it start here, end here. Because in a range selection, you always want to click in the place that you want to start. And since we're in Excel, we're going to select the cell that we want to begin with. We know that this is where we want to end, so in between, we go ahead and hold down our Shift key on our keyboard, and then keeping that key held down, we take our mouse and single click at our end point, and it will select everything in between. So this is selecting a range of G10 through K15. And there's our selection. Awesome, because that's a really nice way to know how to kind of control it a little bit better. Because like for example in here where I have our hello world through these different rows, if I start doing this, and I know I've done this a lot of times, where you just drag and then you keep it, and then you go like whoa, and then you kind of freak out. And well, this one's actually going a lot slower, so it's a little bit more control. But like it goes way far, and you're like, oops, that's not where I want to go. So when you have to go across screens, in a sense, it's nice to be able to do that range selection. So single click on A8, scroll down, get to your end point, hold your Shift key, single click on that end, and there we go. Now what if I had accidentally, and I'm holding my Shift key still, like I need to extend the selection a little bit more? Keeping that Shift key held down, you just go ahead and keep clicking, and like, oh, there's enough, and oh, now I've actually got too much. Okay, so you can contract your selection as well by keeping that Shift key held down, and if I start clicking in, see how it's going to collapse, or what did I just say? Constrict. Yeah, it makes it smaller, okay? You can extend or contract, I think that's what I said, okay? Your selection by keeping that Shift key held down and going ahead and just clicking to where you need it to get, and then you let go, and now I have that selection.
That's a good thing to know, because a lot of times, and I've done it myself, you're like, oh, I let go too soon or let go too late, I did this, I did that, and I just want to readjust, and I don't want to have to redo it all over again. And I don't know, there's like this anxiety about letting go of the clicking button on the mouse.
Right, and so, you know, because I let it go. I still want to start singing, right? You know, but I exactly know what you're saying.
We don't want to owe a royalty. Okay.
I know, but I just love that song. Well, and like he just said, you don't have to use it only with the like start, hold your Shift key, click. What he's saying, and I do the same thing, I go ahead and do a, whoops, I let go too soon, or I just drag the mouse too much. Now, hold the Shift key, take the mouse, and then click where you want to contract it. So you can use the click, hold, and drag method, and then refer to the Shift click to go ahead and expand or contract that selection. So yeah, it's a really handy little trick. Now, of course, you have the keyboard as well. By using our selections without holding any other keys, using your arrow keys just goes ahead and navigates us around. We can get to our starting point. Holding the Shift key down and then clicking your arrows will do your selection. So I can bump, right arrow over to where I need to end or get to the end of this range. Keeping the Shift key held down, I can use that arrow key, and then I can jump down by rows. So I can go by columns, rows, or too much or too less. Just keep on using those arrows to go ahead and use your keyboard to get where you want to go. Very nice. Now I'm just going to use my left arrow key without holding anything to go ahead and deselect. And this is a fun one. When I have a larger range that I need to go to, you can use your Control key in conjunction with your Shift key to go ahead and jump over. Because we talked about in our navigation, holding the Control and then using your right arrows will go to those ends of the ranges, or then jump all the way out to the ends of the earth, to the ends of our worksheets. So I'm going to hold the Shift key down. I'm also going to hold the Control key down. I'm then going to use my right arrow once, whoop, and you see it jumps all the way over to the last column in this contiguous range of information. Keeping the Shift and Control down, use my down arrow key, and boom, look at that. I just did in two clicks of the keyboard that I went ahead and selected that entire range of information. I love that. So the shift command with your arrow keys can be super, super helpful. And then, of course, the easiest way to get back to cell A1 is Control Home. I don't have my keyboard connected right now, so I'm just going to use my scrolls to go all the way up. So loving that. Now, select all. Control A is our keyboard shortcut. But you need to be a little just aware of how it behaves within Excel when you have multiple contiguous ranges of information. For like this hello world, like there's information in each one of these cells from column A through C, then row 8 through wherever it ends, which is 76. Oh, you're my birthday. So now you've got that range of cells. If I put my cursor here, just single clicking, and I do Control A, normally I think select all, like the whole cell or the whole worksheet, but watch, Control A only selects that range of cells.
That's pretty awesome right there.
Right.
Because I'm so used to just having the ubiquitous Control A and everything is selected, which is nice, don't get me wrong, and sometimes that's exactly what I want to do. But that is the next level stuff right there.
Right? Yeah, that's even quicker than doing like the Control Shift and then arrow. It's just whoop, that's it. Yeah, so I like that too. And it was fun to watch Daniel go, oh, yeah.
It was like a magic trick. It was awesome.
So hopefully you're doing the same thing. Now the thing is, if I do it again, Control A again, now that selects it. So you have like different levels. Just select all within this contiguous range where I can see like the borders, if you want to say, and then go all the way out to select every single cell in the entire worksheet. Now that means the 65,536 columns, something like that.
Yeah.
And then the million.
The allot by the allot columns and rows, right?
Yeah. Of how many rows and columns are in the worksheet. I have it written down on my other page, but I forgot it. So that's where we have the Control A in the range versus the worksheet. And I'm going to click off to deselect. Then you also have this guy right up here. Now this is up in between the column and the rows where they intersect, that top left-hand corner. If you click there, that is also Control A for the entire worksheet. So that's another place that you can get everything selected. All right, wonderful. Now you can also select multiple cells or multiple ranges of information. What I mean by is let's scroll over here a little bit so you can see this. I have a pet me too. Okay, me. Okay, that's enough. If anybody knows about cats, you know how it goes, right? Yeah. It's like, oh, they want to go ahead and like say, oh, here, come here, like pet me for a little bit, and then they turn around and bite you.
Yes. Get away. Why have you touched me, you molester?
Exactly. It's like, get off. So I wanted to show you how you can use the Control key to select multiples. They also call it non-contiguous amounts of information, things that are not all together in a range. So if I single click here, perfect, hold the Control key down, single click here, here, here. You see, I think you're getting the idea here that I can go ahead and select multiple cells. And I'm just single clicking on individual cells, but as long as you keep that Control key held down, you can click, hold, and drag, go across here. I can go ahead and grab this here. You can start making like little smiley faces. I mean, this doesn't really mean anything to me right now, but as long as you keep that Control key held down, that will go ahead and select all of those, because maybe every single one of these cells you want to make bold or red.
Yeah. So
just go ahead and grab them all, and then you can go with that. Cool. So Control always does that. Click off to the side or anywhere off to go ahead and deselect. Just do remember, though, with your Control key, remember the Control scroll was to go ahead and zoom in. So if, whoa, see, there we go.
It said meow really large.
Right? I just went to I added that 100% view on my quick access toolbar. That's one thing. If I needed to, like, say, select this here and then a little bit more down, let go of the Control key, scroll to where you need, then hold your Control key, and whoops, that's the wrong key on my keyboard.
Completely wrong?
We go there. Okay, so just make sure when you're scrolling and holding the Control it does do the zoom, and if you don't want that, let go. It's okay. You can just go ahead and you don't have to keep your hand held down on that the whole time. It's only when you start to click, hold, and use your mouse when you want it to go ahead and select those multiples or non-contiguous amounts of information. Perfect. So a few things about making selections across multiple worksheets, just so it doesn't kind of freak you out, for lack of better terms. It remembers the selection of what you have per sheet. For example, I'm on sheet 5. I'm going to go ahead and click, hold, and drag. Come over to sheet 2, and let's just select a little bit here, and then go over to sheet 1 and select this amount. Okay. Well, if I come back over to sheet 5, oh, look, it's still selected. And if I come over to sheet 3, wait, no, was it 2?
2.
2, yes. That's still selected.
So it's just treating them individually. It's saying you're your own sheet, and whatever happens there, doesn't affect the other sheets.
Correct, because if I was here and I made this, let's just say this is red text, you're like, oh, but,
so angry.
but all the other sheets have those selected too. Did it change? No, it didn't. So anything that you're doing and formatting, it's all sheet specific. But the selections, they do kind of like stay up, if you want to say, when you're going from one sheet to another. So just, again, just another be aware, like, oh, that's just how it works. Cool. I don't have to worry and think that I'm doing something wrong. All right. Something that we talked about in the Navigating a Workbook, and I just want to kind of do the top layer, like just kind of graze the surface of this particular area, because it's like, well, then how did you do it? That's one thing that I always notice is like, they're showing me that, but they're not showing me how. And I'm like, no, what did you do there? Yeah. When we were talking about the name box and named ranges of cells of how we could navigate to different places, and we have it say as meow, right? Well, if I click there, oh, well, there it goes. It is referring to G10 through K15 of sheet 5. So it's one of those, well, that's really handy. How'd they do that? Right? How did they go ahead, instead of doing that cell reference of this cell through this cell, just go ahead and give it a name that I can refer to it as, and that would be really, really helpful. So I'm gonna show you the basic way of how to do names. Now, what you can do with named ranges, you can use them in your functions, and then you can use them in a couple other things. So when you start getting into your functions and formulas in the other series, which hope you go ahead and watch, we'll talk about how instead of saying add up all the cells, here, let me get to right here, on this one, add up all the cells between B5 through F8, these are right here, right? That's what the formula says. Here, I'll even show you, right there. See, it says sum of B5 through, that colon indicates a
range.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, what if I just said, go ahead and sum up all of the daily sales? That, to me, like it means something. That they are daily sales. So you're using names to go ahead and refer to ranges of cells. Like that whole meow is just a bunch of meows. How do you do that? You select what you want. There's 2 ways. There's a couple ways, but I'm going to show you. I'll show you both. Right here, it just says B5 because the name box isn't going to show you the range. It will only show you the first cell that is like active right now within that range. If you single click with your I-beam, you get that to where you can highlight all of the text, and then you can give it a name. Now, there are some naming conventions. No spaces. You have to use lowercase letters, and it can't be like sheet 4, because sheet 4 is something specific to Excel, so you don't want to use that in your names. And you don't want to use row references or column references. Like, you can't name this D6 because that's a cell, so you have to like stay away from all those reserved. But if I said daily underscore totals, now from here, we said sales, I think I said. Yeah, sales, there we go. That makes more sense. You have to hit the Enter key. And when you hit the Enter key, do you see how it's not big enough, but it like centers itself? That means that it has accepted the name of this range. I'm going to click off over here. And if I drop this down, now you see daily sales is right there.
And then you can quickly reselect that area too. That was very cool.
Yeah, so it's one for navigating, but it's also for selecting.
Yeah.
So yeah, really, really neat, because maybe you're always working in this particular amount of data, these amount of cells. So just make a named range and you can use it as your drop down. Just to show you where that all lives, that lives in your Formulas tab, and it's right over here with your defined names. And if I go into the Name Manager, that's where it's going to show me what all of the different named ranges. Like here, it has the meow, and let me just zoom in on this. That's the wrong button. Here we go. See, it says equal. It's on sheet 5, exclamation point. That means the name of the sheet. The dollar signs that you see, it says G10 through K15, but there's a dollar sign in front of the G and the 10. That is what is known as an absolute reference. It's never going to move. It's like we are absolutely on G10 all the way through absolutely K15. So you'll see this when we start performing functions in that other series, and this is going to make a big difference. So you don't have what is known as relative reference. This is an absolute reference. Okay, if you're like, well, then tell me what that is. Now I'll have to tell you to go just watch the other series. And you'll see some other episodes on the just basic functions within Excel. I tried to keep it separate. I wanted to separate these two shows into using Excel just as Excel without performing calculations. So that's the logic of why I've organized the episodes like I have.
Seems logical, Captain.
Why, thank you. Oops, I hit
That's the Edge browser. Different show altogether.
I hit the question mark box that was like, hey, what is this? So that's actually kind of nice. If you're like, hey, what was going on over here in this? That question mark just takes you right to the help files. Hey, teachable moment.
That's right.
Right? But I really meant to hit the close button and get out of that dialog box. All right. The last thing that I wanted to show you in this selecting information is in the Home tab, and it's the Find. All the way over on the right-hand side, you have Find and Select. So since it has the word select in it, I figure it's fitting to put in this episode. If you drop this down, there are some things that we'll use the Find box in just a second, but the ones where if you're like, hey, just go ahead and show me where the formulas are. Show me where the conditional formatting lives. These are all things that you're going to learn how to do within Excel. But if I click on formulas, notice that it's going to highlight all the cells that have formulas in it. But take note that if I clicked over on like sheet 2, which doesn't have any formulas, if I go over here and go to formulas, it's going to tell me there's nothing found, because that particular part, it is worksheet specific. It's not workbook. That's the scope of what those particular quick finds will go ahead and do for you. But if I do go to Find, this is always good to know about how to do Find and Replace. That's another thing, like, hey, well, Fuego is
We changed his name to Muy Caliente.
His other name is Fire Pants. So so we call him Fuego Fire Pants. So with a whole bunch of other names that we call
Fuego Pantalones, right? Isn't it?
Yes, Fuego, exactly, Fuego Pantalones. So let's say there are things like a name change. We have a new director or what have you, a different phone number, different address, all different reasons of why you want to find something and then replace it. Okay. Or sometimes you just want to find it. Like, I know that Fuego is somewhere in this workbook. I just can't remember where I put him. So if you type in Fuego right now, and I click Find Next, it's going to say, I can't find what you're looking for.
Is it case sensitive?
There's a couple options.
Oh.
And hence the Options button. So if I click the Options button, right now the default location or scope, it's only looking within the sheet. Okay, but I can change that down to Workbook. If I go to Workbook, then it's going to search across the whole workbook. And that's where you could have it match case if you wanted to. So notice if I go ahead and type in a lowercase f for Fuego, and I do not have match case on, if I choose Find All, the cool thing is that it goes ahead and gives me like almost like a little report down underneath the box of, okay, well, I have found it in Sheet 4, A5, and I've also found it in Sheet 6, A10.
That looks clickable.
It is. So if I click it, notice that it has jumped me to Sheet 6 and exactly to the cell that it is located in. So that's really, really handy, especially when you might have 250,000 rows of information.
Because we're using Excel as a database instead of a database as a database.
Right? Yeah. So I mean, like that's a lot of information.
There's many people out there watching that right now go, I know what he's talking about. Oh my goodness.
Right. But then that's the whole like, hey, it does do a lot of that. And as long as if you start to make it do things it's not supposed to do, because it can support up to 1 million rows in one worksheet. So, but then it's like, what do you want out of that information? That's where the line starts to get very, very gray. All right, so I can go ahead and find those different places, or I can do the find next, and I don't have the match case, and so there we go. Now, if I did choose match case, it's still going to, well, at this point, it's not going to find anything, because I just realized I decapitalized Fuego. So now let me go ahead and do an uppercase Fuego and find all. Perfect. So that's the find, but one more step. Go to the replace. Well, now I want to replace Fuego with Fire Pants. So I've got that. I am matching the case to make sure that it does replace it with the right case. I can then replace each one individually, going to find next, replace, find next, replace. Or in this sense, go ahead and just replace all. And now it is all done. You can see that now Fuego is Fire Pants. We click OK. We close out of that. And there you go. So you can see some different ways that you might want to use find by itself or the replace, which is always super handy. And so I believe that is the end of my notes and how you can select all the different ways that we can select cells, to where if you can select it, then you can affect it, and that comes up later.
All right. Well, Vaughn, very cool stuff. Now we have a better sense of how we can start interacting with the cells inside of Excel. That's kind of hard to mess around with the brain there, but that's exactly what we're doing. We're trying to manipulate them, work with them, do stuff with them, and now we know in the many different ways in which we can do that. It's not just click a cell and do something. We have many options available in front of us. Vaughn, thanks for showing us how to do that. We do appreciate it. We appreciate our audience for watching as well, but it does look like we are at that time. Signing off for Office Pro TV, I've been your host, Daniel Lowry.
And I'm Vaughn Smith.
And we'll see you next time.